Coming up on the dirty side of the track this week. Rob's terrified something really bad could happen.
It feels like it could be an entire episode that would be just as bad as your infamous game from a few years ago. So.
And Brian's very proud of something.
I have a McLaren Hot Wheels car.
And Paul brings a special guest.
You've got to say, hey, no. No, come on, you've got to have a try. Come on, at least one attempt.
Hey, no.
Hey, no.
Hey, now.
Hey, what now? Who took my hey nows? Rob, how are you? It's Brian here. That's Rob. We are the dirty side of the track. Those two people were not us saying hey now. Who might they be, Rob?
I don't know. I think it might be that Pitlane Paul has got himself a co-host to his Pitlane Paul segment. Is he growing the Pitlane Paul segment? And he's now bringing... Oh, I nearly said who it was.
I mean, a very recent driver on the grid and now a current reserve driver for Cadillac?
Maybe? Question? I don't know, but it blew my mind when we had the first set of reviews come in and it was Paul. And you'll hear it later when he asks for his co-host to join him. I was like, this can't actually be real. So stick around. Even if you don't like listening to me and Brian, just listen to the 3 Pitlane Paul and co-host segments because it's made this...
I mean,
F1 Bozo very happy this weekend.
A driver who drove for Alfa Romeo and Sauber on the grid for years, and now current reserve driver at Cadillac. Without saying his name at this point, you know who it is. Stick around for that awesome appearance.
And the most bizarre thing of all of that, the person with all of that behind them has now added "Hey Now" to their repertoire. I mean, that's it. That's hitting the heights.
I was trying to explain to somebody the other day how cool it is that this gentleman, this driver, said the "Hey Now" that you and I have made a thing for us so stupidly over the years, and we got people participating.
Okay. I know. It's going to be celebrity "Hey Now." We're going to have to find out as many people as we can have "Hey Now."
It sounds like a good idea to me.
Anyway, we're rambling. We've got a big episode to get into.
Yeah,
so running order will be news and social. Little light this week. Tobacco races. That kind of always happens. But we've got a big-ish video vault, and then we've got not only a race to review, we've got a sprint to review as well. Yeah. So that's a big double whammy. But we've got no preview because we actually finally have a week off, right? It's not Japan next week, is it?
No, Japan's got a week, and then we'll talk about that too, about the gap that follows that. But one more thing. For anybody who may be new, and we've watched the numbers growing, we're just 2 fans talking about F1. We would love it if you'd pull up a bar stool next to us and chat with us, because we're not journalists, we're not experts. May we have drivers occasionally come on the pod? Yeah, but we're just fans. So, if you disagree with us, send us a note. We love the fact that the dirty side's open for everybody.
Or if you agree, you can also back us up as well. That's nice.
We don't get a lot of those.
We don't get any of those.
None.
Anyway, do you know why we don't get any of those? Because I bet all of the good feedback that is out there on the internet is getting censored, much like our first story, Brian. Look at that for a segue.
That was a terrible segue.
It was a brilliant segue. That was best segue ever. Anyway, fan censorship gate, as I've named it, cropped up this week, where many users online claimed that any criticism of the current regs after Australia on the official F1 post were getting hidden. Now, there were a lot of posts that were being hidden because they were vulgar and, F these regs and all that kind of stuff. And I get that. You can't, F1's got an image to protect. It's going to hide all of those. But there was a lot of people saying that anything you put on there that even called into question the new regs was getting censored.
Yeah, that's not great. That is a real bad look if that was truly happening. And I was trading notes with someone on Twitter about that as well. We were kind of joking that, during the chasm, which is about to occur in the schedule, we can do a lot of things that'll just get redacted. And we're like, I guess so. We'll see.
And then a lot else really happened this week, story-wise. The first thing that caught my eye then really happened once the media stuff had started up, and it was Aston and Honda again. Last time they went out there and they were arm in arm, Nui kind of saying that this is all terrible. Well, they came out and they've obviously got a little bit of a sensitivity to being questioned about batteries. Because it was Mike Crack and Shintaro Ohara.
I'm just happy you brought a name this time as opposed to last week.
Yeah, I've tried it there. Anyway, they were asked about how many batteries Aston and Honda have at their disposal for the Chinese weekend. And old Shintaro has said, we can't say the exact number. We keep trying to repair the battery to get more spares, but we can't say the exact number. You could, but you just don't want to. You must know how many you have. The answer was obviously
it's not
2.
enough. It's not like you have extras. It's not like, well, we've got 100. No, it's like we have 2, and we have 2 cars, and that's all I can tell you is we have enough.
So then they were like being asked, well, is it more batteries than you had in Australia? And Mike Crack then jumps in and says, well, what's the point of going on about the number of batteries? I don't think it's something we should be insisted on. We have a situation that we disclosed, and I don't think we should carry on this battery number discussion. So you've got 2 then. I mean,
basically. You don't make such a big scene if there's no scene to be made.
Exactly. Like you say, if you had a box of them, you'd go, no, what are you on about? We've got a truckload of batteries. But,
well. Max keeps talking about other things he's going to do, and I'm going to spoil Lollipopman a little. They leaned in on this one, too. Max has decided in May he'll take part in the 24-hour sports race at the Nürburgring. Also on the Nordschleife track, the Green Hell. It'll be a Mercedes AMG GT3 car, and Toto is loving this. He's loving having Max in a Mercedes wherever he can do it. But it will be called Verstappen Racing in a Mercedes. So it's going to be like a blend of just Verstappen and Mercedes. But the Nordschleife is no joke. That's a real serious situation. And to do that for 24 hours is intense.
It's a pretty short lap, though, isn't it? I'm sure as somebody sat in the grandstand, you get to see them go by every couple of minutes. 12.9 miles.
Yeah, exactly.
That is a lap.
That is a lap. The sad news of the week that we all saw coming. We talked a little bit about it last week on the pod, and we figured this would happen. But Jeddah and Bahrain have been canceled and will not be replaced. It was made official a day ago, and that means we'll have a 5-week gap between Japan, which is in 2 weeks' time from now, and then Miami will be the next race after that, which is the entire month of April open. So it's the end of March to early May.
Bit like a new F1 car depleting all its battery down the straight. We depleted all our off-season content thinking we were going to have races from now until the end of the year. Yeah. So, looking at you, midfield, or Girls Just Want F1, or anyone else that reached out that we didn't get time to get in over the off-season, there's 5 weeks that we might need to lean into some kind of collaboration here, folks, so get in touch.
Rob and I have discussed some really bad ideas. One of them is to talk about like F1 merch and things we have. So, if no one reaches out, it'll be me doing this to the video. I have a McLaren Hot Wheels car. Okay. With that,
please get in touch and do something. We have to avoid the merch episode because it feels like it could be an entire episode that would be just as bad as your infamous game from a few years ago. So,
Nicholas Queen Latifi. And so with that, let's open the video. That game was so good. It just went over your head. What happened? Yeah, that was the reason. All right, Vault is open. Cooking Indian food with my nani. Nearly 8 minutes. Arvid Lindblad channel. Loved this. Loved it. So I realized I didn't have Arvid on my feed. I don't know how I fell apart not having that happen. This one is not from within the last week. That is usually the Video Vault rule, is fresh videos, fresh social media content, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, whatever. But you're going to give me a little dispensation on this because it's so good and because I added Arvid to the channel to follow. It was great. It was like a normal guy with his grandma cooking food. And they weren't in some $4 million kitchen. They went out and bought the ingredients. And it made me really like this kid even more than I already do, just to see how normal, his family, and I'm not saying other people have, not normal family interactions, but there's so many rich F1 drivers where you just, they're on private planes and things like that. This didn't feel like that at all. Loved it. So check that one out. I referenced Lollipopman, the Australian GP 2026 highlights, Lollipopman channel. We've been Lollipopman fans from when they were tiny. Now they're huge. This may have been my favorite for a long time. The recap of Australia was so good. It was like layers to the jokes and the way they brought stuff back. I watched it twice in a row when I first saw it because I really liked it. So if you've not watched a Lollipopman review of a race, this is one to start because you'll be hooked. The best reactions from the 2026 Australian Grand Prix P1 channel with Matt and Tommy, 16 minutes. Interestingly, there was some chat on our Discord amongst our Discord members that not everybody are big Matt and Tommy fans anymore. And I still love the best reactions. And when Matt does these videos, and he went back this year to like when they were on WTF1, he went back to that feel to the format. And it was so good. I just sat there smiling, watching the tweets and memes go through without rankings, numbers, gifs, subpoints.
Although, have we got to add them to our list of people we're trying to take down this year? Because Ted has stolen or tried to steal Cadillac Corner. I think the guys on the Discord said that these two have just started a random position prediction that sounds just like the roulette wheel, I feel.
I agree. We got to take them down, too. And then the final video in the vault. F1 drivers congratulate Charles Leclerc and Alex on getting married. Hashtags on the Connor Moore Racing channel. This is great. So Connor Moore is so good at impressions. If you've not seen him before,
he's brilliant.
He is brilliant.
And he does everything. He does all sports. He'll do golf.
Yeah.
He'll do football. He'll do F1. He's just the guy who can just. He's just got those natural abilities to mimic a voice. And you get some impersonators that you're kind of like, okay, is that supposed to be Lewis? Or, and you have to kind of go with it and lean into it a little bit. You can close your eyes and you know who he's doing. He's brilliant.
A few years ago on Sky Sports, they had him and Carlos together, and he was doing his Carlos Sainz. And it was so good. Carlos is like, is that how I talk? And like the two of them were like, it was phenomenal. And then there were two What's Next videos on Valtteri's What's Next channel with Paul Ripke. I enjoyed them. I didn't put them both in here because I think they're gonna be cranking these things out so much. I could just do a What's Next corner, and like that's just watch it. I'll tell you when there's good ones. But that closes the vault unless Rob has something. Too late anyway, buddy boy.
That's okay, because we've got to get cracking. We've got
long
lots
weekend
to unpack here.
Yeah.
And there'll be a big reveal from me at the end in the Dirty Side Thoughts after we cover the race. You've got to stick around for that because it's going to be monumental. Or it'll just be my opinion on things. But anyway.
Or ignore that and just wait for the Cadillac reserve driver, former Alfa Romeo driver, former Sauber driver.
We might just have to dedicate Cadillac Corner to those three reviews. Maybe it's Pitlane Paul's music and Cadillac Corner all at the same time. But it's not, actually. I've got something for Cadillac Corner. Okay. So anyway, right, practice. Didn't watch it. Brian?
Nope. But I saw the results and the timings, and Rob and I talked as we went into sprint quali, and I said to him, are we getting a Noah's Ark situation? Is it going to be 2x2? Yes. Like, the answer became yes. We'll get into that more. But the grouping of cars, the Mercedes, the Ferraris, the McLarens, at the back, the Cadillacs, the Astons, the Williams. Yep. I mean, they go, I think they're holding hands as they're driving. I think Carlos has got his right arm out the car, holding on to Alex's left as they go down the straight.
I'm getting
Alex
to
doesn't run his car.
I'm getting to the point where I'm almost believing that somebody in marketing has paid a huge amount of money to F1 to say, look, it's much better for our branding if when we take shots, both of our cars are in shot. So if we can make sure that nobody else is in shot, that would be great.
Well, then someone's got to talk to Pierre and Ollie because they're pulling away.
Yeah, they're
from
messing
the
it all
teammates.
up.
They're screwing up the whole
up.
deal. But so we get to sprint quali, and we end up losing Carlos, Alex, so they're the two Williams, Fernando and Lance, the two Aston Martins. And then Valtteri and Checo. Checo didn't set a time, but the two Cadillacs. Surprise, surprise, surprise. Maybe I was wrong to have wanted 7 cars out in Q1 or SQ1 to get down to 15, because now it's a neat 3 teams.
Yeah, it is actually. In SQ2, we lost the Audi of Hulkenberg, and we lost the Audi of Bortoletto.
What about the racing balls?
But that was the end of it, though. Oh no, both the racing balls went as well. It was just the Haas and the Alpines that decided to buck the trend and
because they got left behind by their teammates Pierre and Ollie.
So that took us through then to the shootout, and I will save this for my overall update at the end, and I'll say at the end why I'm just going to have to. I think we're going to have to make peace with the fact that quali isn't quali anymore, right? It just. We can't be those people that look back and wish for pine for yesterday. Oh, it was back in my day. It was so much better. It is what it is. Quali is now. We're just going to have to enjoy this as a slightly different way of doing quali. And at the moment, it looks like the Mercedes have got it nailed. And, George takes the top spot for quali. We don't call it pole. They should come up with a name for it.
For the
Is it
sprint?
Sprint
Yeah.
Pole?
Yeah.
Or they just call it.
That's what
I
we'll
don't know
call
what they
it.
call it. That's what we'll call it.
Pretty
Yeah.
obvious.
Ahead of Kimi, ahead of Lando, Lewis, Oscar, Charles, Pierre, Max Verstappen. Not loving this new reg set
No.
yet. Mr. Behrman and the other Red Bull Hajar make rounding out the top 10 for the sprint.
So at this point, before we'll hear Pitlane Paul's first review with his buddy, and who we'll reveal in a second. I was excited by one thing. The Noah's Ark thing was kind of killing me. Rob and I were talking about this. We don't always talk after each of these things, but we wanted to kind of check in on the quali thing. Rob will hold some of that powder, but I hear where he's going. I liked Lando. I liked seeing a McLaren look a little feisty, not Mercedes level, but having it go McLaren, Ferrari in the quali SQ3 gave me hope. Because if you remember last week, I told you that McLaren, the customer cars had just gotten the updated engine not long before Australia, and there was hopes that they could take the data from Mercedes and their own running in Australia and tune it and get closer for China and beyond, Japan and
It's
so
not going to
forth.
work out that way, though, is it, Brian?
Oh, no, it isn't. But I'm still glass half full that maybe McLaren's going to be better when they figure out how to run the car for a race. But we'll get there. And then we got a note from Paul. And so we're going to do his music, and then we're going to play his first report, because in sprint weekends he often gives us one a day. I am excited already to get to this. Paul, before I hit this button, you are a legend, buddy.
Hey, no, Shanghai. I have a guest. It's Joseph Guanyu. He's going to give us a Friday review of the first dripping of the Chinese Grand Prix. FP1, not a lot happens. What happened, Joe?
Yeah, like you said, not much happened, to be honest.
Brilliant. Insight is what you all need. Qualifying, yeah, I mean, Sergio didn't get out. Kind of sucked for us. We have some issues with Valtteri. But on the whole, was qualifying good or was qualifying absolutely average? I mean, Mercedes is too fast. What are your thoughts?
Honestly, for us, it's not great just because one car wasn't out. But actually, Valtteri's sector time was pretty good, sector 1 and 2, but we have some issue on the operation deployment side. So, bit of a shame. Otherwise, I think we had a stronger car to the guys we're racing with, which would be good. But yeah, the rest is pretty boring, standard format, the top ranking people, not much happens.
Yep. Well, we'll see you tomorrow. Wonderful. Bye.
There's honestly not much happened.
I love the end when he goes, honestly, not much happened.
Yeah,
Joe, you are a legend. Thank you for coming on. Paul, thank you for making that happen. We're going to hear more from both of them.
I was going to say, spoiler, me and Brian, as we were thinking of things unfolding, we didn't know. We never want to hope. No, sorry, what's the best way of saying this? Paul always surprises us, and whenever he surprises us, like with things like that, we like part of me thinks, I hope he'll come back for a second one. I'm like, well, even if he doesn't, Paul's done us an absolute solid there. So we kind of find out in real time what's going to happen every time the Pitlane Paul review hits our inbox. But I'm just going to spoil it for you and say, Mr. Zhou makes a return for all 3 Pitlane Paul segments, so stick around for more insights from him. It's just fantastic.
You got to stick. And Joe, thank you.
Yes,
tell Paul the T-shirt size you want, and I'll get you a Dirty Side T-shirt. It's great for working out and sleeping, giving the family.
That's going to happen. Right. Okay. Sprint.
We gave him to Valtteri.
Yeah, we see him wearing that all the time. Right. Okay. Sprint race. And there is a pattern. There is a pattern starting here where Mercedes are amazing in quali. No one seems to be able to get near them. Mercedes seem to have race pace, and over the course of a race, they tend to wear the others down. But one thing is also true. Ferrari seem to be a rocket ship off the line.
So fast. Just so fast. It's so much fun.
Yeah, you said it last week. It's the Mario Kart thing where you hold the button down at 2 and off they go. I mean,
wow. And you know who doesn't have that button? And so here's the thing. In Mario Kart, if you do it wrong, it actually bogs you down a little. Can someone tell Max to stop hitting it at 3? Because he hasn't moved.
No, he's hitting it at 1, I think. If you hit it too late in Mario Kart, you get nothing. But if you hold it too early, you get the wheel spin and you bog down. So Max is just holding it from 1.
Seriously. He's holding it from 1 every race. Max Verstappen starts, something like does Red Bull like literally deploy an anchor behind him, and like they're not hitting the button for him to remove it because
Wrong button. You've got two buttons. One's the anchor, Max. Don't press that one.
his sprint start was terrible, and we haven't gotten to the GP yet. And Hamilton goes through. We start getting just. It was amazing, and we get Charles right behind, and we got this ding-dong battle for the lead. I mean, like, I'm watching this, and I'm thinking it's wild all over again.
Yeah. Although, I don't want to. Let's get the little one negative out the way because I did really enjoy the sprint. But why are we down to 1 decimal on the board, people?
Yeah, please. This happened last week. We don't have to put it back.
Are they dumbing it down? Do they think that new fans can't understand 2 decimal places? It's like people are fine with 2. It makes it much easier to see the gaps. Anyway, so then we had Lindblad, obviously done too much cooking with his nan and just spun round all by himself.
He was so high after Australia. He's like, "Oh, I got this. This is easy." And then he's going facing backwards more times than not in China, but that's okay. Still,
and actually, over the course of the first 3-4 laps, we just got George and Lewis and George. It was going back and forward. I know people still aren't quite comfortable yet with this overtaking. I still feel that I don't really know what's going on. I will say in the Grand Prix, they showed the battery icons a little bit more often, which actually helped me start to get my head around who was where. And we'll come back to that in the main race, actually. But I kind of already only 2 races in. Actually, not even a race yet. This is a sprint. I'm kind of leaning into this a little bit. I'm okay with it being go-kart style, as people are calling it. I'm okay with this back and forward overtaking.
I am too, because it's happening everywhere. It's not just in one part of the race where you could say, "Oh, those cars are close." The fact that Kimi didn't start well and is catching up from 7th and showing his mettle as a young person, a young man in F1, second season. To be able to cut through the field, and you may say, Brian, the Mercedes is like a rocket ship. That's easy to do. The number of people we've seen in rocket ships over the years be unable to do that, to cut through the field, is high. Yep. So, like, I was impressed as he was doing this during the sprint. The Ferraris, we talked about this last week, and Rob and I talked about this offline a little. I'm very happy. They have better race pace than quali pace. So, yes, Mercedes is faster in race pace and a lot faster in quali pace, but it's close enough. We'll get to the GP in a second. But it was nice to see the Ferraris hanging there with the Mercedes most of the time around the sprint. And I love that. I love
the fact they're free to race each other as well.
Like
those
the
two
whole weekend.
Oh my gosh! The sprint laid down a preview of what was to come in the main Grand Prix, but those two, and being respectful. Like there's never any, no one ever seems to run each other off. I know we're only a race and a sprint in at this point in the review, but there does seem to be a high level of professional respect between the two of them. They just want to outrace each other. They don't want any dirty tactics. They're just, I'm going to be the top dog here, and it was just brilliant to watch.
Coulthard did not love that. I'll tell you why when we get to the race. He didn't like it in the race. I got stuck with the F1 TV feed. Not that there's anything wrong with Alex Jakes and Coulthard and Julian, but anyway, it was great. The beginning of the sprint for the first, well, until we really had the VSC, the safety car, I loved watching the back and forth for the lead. Kimi cutting through, trying to get around Oscar. You saw him take Oscar, and then the board didn't update, and then because Oscar got him right back. And the fact that the production crew is struggling to keep up with all the different battles, this will become a story in the GP as well. But that's because we have, if you accept these overtakes, which I do as well, it's like Rob, I'm accepting them. You're spoiled for riches at this point. It's just there's battling happening everywhere, and you're taking people around corners you didn't expect. It's not just the old DRS overtakes at the end of a straight situation. I'm loving this. What we saw in the sprint in China, and Andy and I were debating this on the Discord, the long back straight to the hairpin and then that short straight to the turn to the main straight. That long back straight was setting people up for coming in on the inside, throwing the anchors out, trying to get the car stopped, but going too deep, and the person who was on the outside on the racing line cutting underneath and doing the old switcheroo. And it happened so many times, and I was there for it every time. Every time. You never knew who was going to come out in first in those battles. I loved it.
And the only bit I was putting in the notes at this point was the only downer on all this was by lap 9-10, George was so far clear.
Yeah.
Once that Mercedes gets free and it breaks free of the 1 second, it's really obvious that it's faster in race pace, and away it goes. And then the top lot are ridiculously, like, Ollie was only in, I don't know where Ollie was. He was like 7th or 8th maybe, but he was like 9 laps in. He was 12.5 seconds behind. So the gap, the top teams, you've got Mercedes that have obviously nailed it. You've got another sort of 3 teams that have semi-nailed it, and then you seem to have the rest. And that's, that has to be expected at the beginning of regulation. So while it's not fantastic to watch, it's, it'll sort itself out. We see the convergence. I'm just hoping upgrades can come quickly to some of the teams, and we can see some of those things concertinaing up. Because if you can think, this is my sort of glass half full, if you think that if these teams could get a little bit closer in performance, so they were staying closer for a longer period of the race, imagine the chaos we'd have then, when we can already see how well they can follow and how many opportunities there are for overtakes. So not perfect, but it does feel like it's tracking in the right direction at the moment.
It's giving us on-track racing. Like you're getting wheel-to-wheel on-track battles, and you just have to take it for that. I forgot to mention Kimi running into Isaac to start, and he got a 10-second penalty on that. As I'm sitting here bigging him up for cutting through the field, as he was doing that, he decided to spin Isaac around, which was rough because we're big Isaac fans, and Kimi too. But watching that was interesting. And then the cars all started dying. They'd done 12 laps, and everyone's like, you know what? We're done for the day. Valtteri packed it in, and then Hulk packed it in before we even knew what was going on. So Valtteri packs it in, and then we see a safety car. I go for Valtteri, and then we see Hulk's car, and then it takes a week and a half to clear his car from the end of the straight.
I like the bit where we could see just people like Marshall just pointing at it, and I was like in my head thinking, is the conversation, is that the car we need to move? Oh, I'm not sure. Do you want to get on the phone to HQ? Because I'm pretty sure we've got to move a car. There is an F1 car right there that looks in the way of other cars. We probably should be that one, but let's stand around for a little bit longer and then see where we go.
That was awesome.
So I got really confused at this point, and Brian, I think, corrected me in our notes, is that I'm like, oh my gosh, Kimi is completely screwed now because he's got a 10-second penalty, which means that as everything all bunches up, he's going to really have to make some headway here, because once the whole field concertina's up, you add 10 seconds to his time, he's going to be dead last. And then I got super confused when everyone was saying that this has been, great work by Kimi Antonelli. I'm like, why? What's gone on? But as I think you wrote in the notes, he served his penalty when he came in for his pit stop under the safety cars. That was a good call, because he took a cheap pit stop under the safety car, but also stood still for 10 seconds and got it out of the way.
Yeah, he did. And again, the producers having so much to show this year, we can't even see that. In years past, there were times when there was nothing to show, and we'd be watching, every pit stop very closely. There was so much happening, we didn't see that. And so Piastri and Kimi had a little battle towards the end. Piastri had to give the spot back based on the way the pass happened. And so we end up with George winning, obviously, as we talked about. Charles, Lewis, Lando.
Wait, you've jumped to the result. You've missed the biggest, when the restart happened.
Oh, Charles's mistake.
Charles copied. If you remember the start of the race last week when George went sideways, Charles thought that looks like a good move. I might try that at a safety car restart. I was like, I had my head in my hands. I was like, this is the moment now. There's only a couple of laps to the end. We know the Merc is faster over a long race pace, but if Charles could just stay in the 1 second zone, we could have a race to the finish here until Charles said no.
Yeah, poor restart.
It was
awful. So George wins, Charles second, Lewis third, Lando, Kimi, Oscar. I did love the fact that after we get through those teams, you're kind of wondering, hey, what about Max? Where are the other cars that you normally see at this point? No, we got a Racing Bull of Liam Lawson. Well, then Max, right? No, we got the Behrman's Haas. Well, then Max, surely. Yeah, it was Max. But then Ocon and the Haas popped it up there. No points for the last two there because you only paid through 8 in the sprint. But I thought it was fun watching this. Someone said earlier that the sprint format plays well for these new cars, these new regs, because it's close from the beginning. And so you get a lot of battles. And so you don't get for me, the last third of Australia was a little less exciting. So you get just all the exciting part. I would actually say I thought the Grand Prix proved that wrong. I thought the whole GP was great, but we'll get to that in a second.
Okay, so then we get to Quali. Quali. And yeah, we had a 2x2 in
Again.
Q1. We had both Williams, both Astons, both Caddies. Although, I would say, little note here, Valtteri did out-qualify Lance Stroll.
Yeah.
So it's not the Caddies completely at the back there. Sergio obviously suffered by not getting out in the SQ and suffering, but I think slowly but surely they're in the mix. He was 2/10 behind Fernando, half a second behind the Williams. They're not in a different zip code in their pace at the moment. So I think Caddy can be thinking they're on the right path, I think, at the moment.
Yeah, I would agree. Mercedes obviously looked good in Q1. Ferrari looked a little wild in Q1. Like, that car it likes to waggle its tail. Like, you often see them sliding around corners, and you don't see that from the Mercedes as much. So I enjoyed the whole quality. Q2, we're going to lose both Audis, keeping the theme going, of Nico and Gabriel Bortoleto. We're going to lose both Racing Bulls of Lindblad and Lawson. But once again, we're only going to get one Haas and one Alpine in Q2 out, and because Pierre and Ollie went through to Q3. So
ignoring orders again.
Again. So anyhow, at this point, Bortoleto did go wide towards the end with about 30 seconds left on the final push. He went into the gravel, like almost like in between going down the main straight and into the pits. He was obviously trying to go down the straight, and that yellow flags messed up a lot of people's runs, which kind of compromised some of that. But I think people had all their bankers in. I don't think there was too many people it messed up. So it was fun, but it gave us a good opportunity to see what would happen in Q3.
Yeah, which maybe the first little gremlin creeping into Mercedes. George had issues, shall we say, getting out. Kimi went and took advantage of that and threw down the fastest lap. And I was still convinced that George was going to come out and, like he did last time in Australia, he let kind of Kimi toy with provisional pole and went, "Yeah, hold my beer, I've got this." But no, I mean, in relative performance terms, he didn't actually get close. He was 2/10 away from him, which is a country mile when you're both in the same car, really. So,
Right.
hats off to Kimi getting that youngest ever pole sitter in Formula One.
He was. We'll get into that in a second. But he was the youngest pole sitter ever in F1. And they decided so much with the Noah's Ark thing to do it all the way through effectively. Kimi from George, Mercedes. Lewis, then Charles, Ferrari. Oscar, then Lando, McLaren. And then Pierre, as we said, messed it all up. We get Pierre at 7. Good job, Mr. Gasman in the Alpine. Max and Isaac in the Red Bull. And then Ollie made the top 10. And put that Haas 10th, and he's going to have a good day as we get to the race. So yeah, both Ferraris were sliding like mad. You nailed it. Kimi becomes the youngest pole sitter in F1 history, 19 years and 6 months old, taking it from Seb at 21 years 2 months. Charles third, 21 years 5 months. Fernando 21 years 7 months, and Max E. Verstappen 21 years and 10 months. So that's a pretty big delta as well. No one in their 20s. Kimi, the only one to be 19 to take a pole. And, I mean, he did it, as you say, 2/10. That was pretty resounding fashion for something like that.
And I'd say honourable mention to Isaac staying within a 10th of Max. I know Max isn't loving that car, but we've also always said that nobody can drive that second car, and Isaac is in there holding his own. So
Totally agree with you.
And it was a good weekend for youngsters. I'm going to completely change sport for a second, and I'll point the wrong way. Well, yeah, I can't do this with a reverse camera. There we go. My Arsenal flag over there. Shout out to Max Downman, youngest ever Premier League scorer. I think 16 years and 73 days or something like that. So youngsters were lighting up the record books this weekend across all the sports that I follow. So yeah, there we go. I think it might be time to hear the next round of Pitlane Paul and Friend.
Hey no! By the way, you've got to do that. You've got to say hey no. No, come on, you've got to have a try. Come on, at least one attempt.
Hey no.
Well, that's sort of okay. Well, I'm joined again by Joseph from Sheffield to review Saturday.
What do you mean from Sheffield?
Well, you are from Sheffield.
Shanghai.
Yeah, he's from Shanghai.
I'm local, bro.
You went to Sheffield.
Yeah, went to Sheffield.
Well, you're from Sheffield. It's a proud place, Sheffield. Anyway, before we start, actually, I forgot to talk about my birthday on Thursday, which Joseph's mum, Shelley, kindly organised a big dinner for us and paid for it. That was really, really nice. You claim you paid for it.
Well, it's the same, no. It's the same family.
I love
Yeah,
this
but
It's a
part.
family, doesn't it?
yeah, but it's different if I paid
It
something.
doesn't matter. It's a birthday celebration for you. So it
was
doesn't
very
matter
nice.
who paid for it. You did not pay. So that's all it matters for you, isn't it?
Sort of got a good point. I got a lovely T-shirt and a box of tea, and
I'm with
that was
Joe
very
on this,
nice,
by the
and
way.
a box of beer. So I mean, like, yeah, you pretty much know me. Anyway, enough of that old crap. Sprint race, it was good. Do you like these new regs? I don't know if I like them yet or not. I like the sprint race was quite entertaining and overtaking. It just feels still a bit Mario Kart.
Yeah, it does, but spring actually makes this regulation a lot better because it's short, and then the people are not. The field is like quite together and within the range of boost.
That's why I
mode.
heard it from
But
Joe.
I don't like the way how these cars for the starts because there's so many difference. Like you can be P6, you can be P1, lap 1.
Yeah, it's true.
Weird.
I've always moaned at the sprint races, so that's completely fine. And then qualifying, I mean, like, they're not really. There's no massive surprises. George, I guess, was the only real surprise, but they're sort of still standard qualifyings, really. Like, nothing's really happening, is it? Let's face it.
No, not a lot happened. I mean, Georgia had only one lap with the issue, but I think, yeah, from us as a Cadillac team point of view, I think, Valtteri did the best he could, but in between us, I think Checo would be the same. He had some issue on the run to turn 1, lost a second, which is a bit, only happens this year, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So things are just tricky to get a clean sessions, but, the car, we're a lot more closer to the field, 2.5, 2.7 seconds. It's not far off.
Yeah, that's not bad. Oh, right, well, that's Saturday. Saturday night, what's your Saturday night in Shanghai? How does it differ for a night in Sheffield?
I need to go all the way back to city centre.
Oh, you're doing that, Jim Beans?
For
Yeah,
30
yeah,
minutes
yeah.
appearance and coming all the way back.
Yeah,
which
that
is
actually sucks.
a bit of waste. of
That
time.
does suck. We did a meat raffle in Australia.
Yeah, unlucky for you, but it's my time, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that's Saturday wrapped up in Shanghai. We wait to see what happens tomorrow. And we'll work on that Hayno. It was okay, but it needs a bit of improvement.
So we did our first episode, and I was sitting in my in-laws' house with my microphone on a laundry basket, and we started the episode, and I came in with an overly enthusiastic "Hey now," like "Hey now, welcome."
Oh,
to
it
the
was.
Dirty-"
And
And
Rob
Rob goes,
that first one.
and I go, "How you doing, Rob?" And Rob goes, "Not well, if that's how you're going to start every episode." But the "Hey now" was born there. And for us, and I know everyone thinks it's like a Howard Stern thing. It's not. It's actually from Gary Shandling, Larry Sanders. But it's been a tradition for us. So to have Joe do it is the coolest thing. Just as a reminder, here's 23, Paul, Rob, and I in Canada.
Hey now! Hey now! Hey now!
We did it again at 25. I won't play it because it's long. You get the point. But to have Zhou Guanyu do a "Hey now," and he's going to do it again, stick around, is awesome. I'm buzzing. Paul, you are the man. Joe, you are the man.
Okay, well, moving on to race day.
Race day.
Neither Brian nor I watched this live because it was a stupid time in the morning for both of us. But I did get up super early and watch it on the replay without knowing the results. So
As did
it's
I.
basically the same as being live. So I imagine my surprise when I kind of click into. I didn't watch the whole pre-race show. I kind of just jumped straight to the formation lap and then realized I needed to rewind because I'm like, why are there no papaya cars going around at the moment?
Well, hold on. You say that. It's early Sunday yet, and I've already been to a dance competition an hour away and watched the race with you very early, different at the time. But my point is, I had the same problem, but I didn't catch the papayas. I caught gaps all over the grid, and I'm like, oh, hold on. There's no one at the back? Albon is, so pit lane start, right? And wait, Bortoletto too? Pit lanes, and then the McLarens. I'm like, this will be fine. This is all do pit lane starts. None of them did anything.
Well, Oscar didn't even make it, I don't think, apparently. Sorry, Oscar made it to the grid, but then they wheeled him back because he had an electrical or some power unit problem. I don't think Lando even made it to the grid. They'd already shut him down and left him in the garage before they even went out to the thing. So apparently two different problems. It wasn't the same problem in each car, but a double DNS, which you don't often see in Formula One, and that means Oscar now is still yet to drive a competitive lap.
Taking
this
one of my
season.
SAP stats. Yes.
Oh, I'm
Hasn't
sorry, but
done a racing lap.
that's insane.
Did you, last thing before we get to the actual lights out and start, see the gas man overshoot his pit box? That was
Yes, you had
brilliant.
to put it into beep, beep,
Yeah.
beep. This Formula One car is reversing.
I love that. He was way
I wish
out
it
there,
did
too.
have the truck backup play on an F1 car. But
Just to embarrass them as they have to get back in the
Yeah.
grid box or wherever.
yeah.
Oh,
man.
gas man.
So we've got the two Mercs there, and the question is, okay, surely, they're going to finally learn how to nail their own starts now, and Ferrari can't be a rocket every single time.
Not every time.
They do lights out, surely, right? There's no way that Lewis is going to go flying past Kimi right at the beginning. That's not going to happen.
And that Charles will be right next to him trying to follow along. No, that's exactly what happened. And George goes back to fourth. Kimi's holding off Charles, but Lewis is in first now. And it's wild to me. And they show some other moves because it was so tight. Like, as I'd said, too wide through that whole sweeping first, second, third corner. At this point, we see that Max had gone down 6 positions. It actually looked like more than that at first. He didn't move at all. Like, once again, the anchors were out. He hits the gas and nothing happens. The Red Bull was asleep under the car that powers
Do you think
it.
he knows that the blue light is for spinning up the turbo, or is he just waiting and not doing anything?
I'm assuming GP's
a
telling
man
him
of
that
his
on the radio.
talents, you have to assume it's something to do with the car and the car not.
Oh,
I
yeah.
can't believe that Max Verstappen can't work
Definitely
this
the
system
car.
out on the car.
It's not
Look,
you, it's me. No, it's always the car with Max. He's that
And-
good.
There was sort of so much to watch because the cars are so coming off the line at different speeds. I know they're worried it could be dangerous, but for me, it makes it so intriguing because everyone's got a different getaway speed almost, which means sort of throws the grid up in the air. Now, we had Ollie and Isaac had a little bit of a come in together, which meant that lap 1, Isaac's already in the pits and like
Yeah.
45 seconds back right at the beginning. But then up front, it just went, hey, you remember that thing in the sprint yesterday where the front are just going to keep going back and forth at each other?
Yeah.
Let's serve another side helping of that on, please. And they were just, George got Charles, George gets Lewis, everyone's going everywhere. It then, bizarrely, after frantic action for about 4 or 5 laps, it's like everyone needed to take a breather. And I didn't
Including
want to
the
write lull
producers.
in. Yeah, I didn't want to write lull in the notes because it didn't feel like it was a classic lull like we've had in the past where me and you have gone, oh dear, it's a snooze fest. But we just had like 5 laps of everybody just sort of going and breathe. This isn't the sprint. We've got to settle in for a bit of a longer race here, chaps. So maybe
I would argue it's 3 laps. It was 6, 7, 8, but I agree. It got real
Okay,
quiet
okay.
real fast. We went from very loud to like library silent for a few laps. It was a ding-dong battle. We had our Cadillac boys hitting each other as Checo started coming down the inside at turn 3 on Valtteri. Valtteri's in a crowd, nowhere for him to go, and Checo's like, well, I think I can take this spot. No, there was no spot, Checo, but we still love you. Nice try. But we see, like you said, George and Lewis. Max goes to take Lindblad on lap 5 and nails the overtake, but decides he's not going to brake until way too late and goes way off the course, gets back on. We had Kimi, George, Lewis, Charles, Pierre, Franco, Esty, Lawson, Lindblad, Max as our top 10 after 7 laps. And yes, I'm with you. It kind of got a little quiet. And then the RB guys are like, you know what? We may be teammates, but we're gonna fight each other in every race. And we're going to go over the line a little more than Ferrari does. And these two guys, Lindblad, he spins a lot. And so, at least in China, Lindblad and Lawson are going back and forth, 9 and 10. Lindblad comes down. This was what we talked about from the sprint. On the back straight at the hairpin. Gets him on the inside, but overcooks. And I'm doing cars with my hands for the YouTubers. And so he overcooks and then Lawson goes switcheroo. Did that work? That worked. That was good. No, okay. And so anyway, at this point, Max and Lawson, about a lap 11, they box. And these are, as I would write a second later, full price pit stops. Because something's about to happen.
The racing gods are not smiling on Max at the start when he puts his anchor button down rather than his turbo button, and they were not smiling now because almost just as they emerged from the
Really?
pit lane after
Literally.
taking their full length pits, pit stops. Lance Stroll parks up at the side of the track, and we get a full safety car. And I mean, you could just imagine inside Max's helmet. He's got to be seething at this point.
Oh, yeah.
It's like,
You remember
because,
23 at Baku when he did that, and same thing. He was at full price pit stop, and then the VSC came out, and he lost. Checo won that race, and that was like his only blemish in the whole year of winning every race.
Yeah, yeah. So Merck and Ferrari both came in and double stacked. I'd say actually Merck's was probably a proper double stack because they really came in together. Ferrari had a little bit more time, but it's still so impressive to watch these teams turn two cars around in the space of like nothing. It's but here was where, well, you didn't hear this then if you were on the F1 TV commentary.
Yeah.
So Crofty watches Lance Stroll get on a moped to be taken back to the pit stop. And he turns around. Well, we didn't see him turn around. I'm just now elaborating for the benefit of this story. He says, "I hope that's not a Honda engine in that moped. He might not get back to the pits."
Oh boy, I did not hear that. No, I started my watch at about 6 a.m. and I was short on time, so I could not figure out how to change the feed on Apple, lest I lose 5 minutes screwing around and miss the race. So I just
press down, go all the way to the right.
No, it wasn't. When I started off, that wasn't there. It was different than normal.
Okay. I watched it through the F1 TV app, so I just pressed the little button to change commentary.
Right. I didn't do that. And so we get back to green racing on lap 14. We have kind of a shaken up field because some people did stay out for track position, which I made the argument last week, less valuable than in years past. We'll find out if that's true or not. But we had Kimi, Colapinto, Ocon, Russell, Hamilton, Lindblad, Leclerc, Hulk, Gasman, and Behrman in the top 10. So a handful of people, right, who stayed out watching Ocon, Colapinto, Lindblad.
They were mainly the hard tyre runners, right? Because it was just screwed up their strategy.
Yeah,
it came too early. So we had Hamilton did a great move on Ocon around turn 14, and then Colapinto was right up there and did a switch back into 9. I mean, some of these passes from Hamilton, and actually lots of other drivers, we've got to make sure people don't start writing them all off as battery-boosted overtakes, because some of the overtakes on display today were all about setting people up and taking people in corners where when you're going around corners, you're mainly harvesting energy. You're not deploying boosts. So these are legitimate, pure racing overtakes. So
even if they're...
drink it in.
Agreed. Even if they are due to battery, you still have to make the move. And you're making moves on corners. These aren't... I actually like this more than when DRS was too strong. Yes. And you'd just blow by someone on the straight and your wing would close and they'd be so far behind you in the corner it didn't make a difference. I'll take this over those types of overtakes every day.
I've got a question for you, though, because I still don't understand this.
Oh, please don't make me answer a technical question that I don't understand either.
It's a battery
yet.
question, and we'll throw it out there, and if you don't know it, others can answer it. But
we need Dr. Obbs.
When we were reading about these new regs, I was pretty sure that they talked about the battery energy being available for the car in front to defend as well.
Yeah, but if your battery's flat,
but I
your battery's
don't
flat.
see... No. But even when they come round and when we see the little icons, they've both got full. You don't see the car in front using it. Do you think this is a driver choice at the moment where they would rather not use the battery in a defensive capability, allow the other car to take them, knowing that now they've got the full battery to go and take them back again? Because we're not really seeing... We'll get there, I think, later in this race. We do see some defensive masterclasses going on, but not as much as I was kind of expecting. I was thinking that... the way the regs had been written and sold to us was that we'd see a lot more of people using battery to say, ha, you can stay back there with your overtake button. But I'm not sure we've seen that yet.
I haven't either. That's a good point. Also, though, think of, for me, the two best defensive drivers on the grid. It's Fernando by a mile, and then Checo's pretty good. They're in cars that are so bad, we don't really get a chance. True. And I'm sorry, Caddy, I don't mean it like that, but it's not as good as the other cars. They're not defending against anybody. So,
fresh air. They're defending against fresh air. So.
Right. So I don't know the answer to your question because we'll get into the Ferrari back and forth in a minute where we don't see that happening.
Well, that's what sparked it, actually, was seeing some of that Ferrari action because they almost seem to be... They'd rather let their teammate pass to then go back on the attack than try to keep them behind. Right. So, but talking to the Ferraris, Hamilton, from about lap 19, he kept intermittently going on about it, that he needed more power. He doesn't have any power. He needs more power. And he shouted, "I need more power. More power," was one of his radio messages. Now, this might be a little bit of a reference that a lot of people won't get, and I'm showing my age, but I was getting flashbacks to, is it Tim Allen, Home Improvement?
Yeah.
Yeah, more power. Anyway. But every time the icon came up on TV, because Crofty was pointing it out, and I think it was Anthony Davidson who was with him today, who was brilliant. The battery icon was full, so whether or not there was some sort of deployment issue. But I'll say this now as well. We need to dig into this deeper. I put this out on the Discord last week about, do the cars have a computer system that learn how to deploy the energy? And people came on and said, no, it's not like that. There's no AI, there's no learning going on during the race. So, okay, fine. But then Anthony Davidson today went on like a 5-minute explanation about why Kimi at this point was pulling away at the front, and it was easier for him because he wasn't having to worry about using his boost button to overtake or deploy. And while you can do that, the longer the car can build up more and more laps without any manual interference with the boost button, he said, the quicker the computer learns the optimal way of deploying the battery. So there's something in this for us to dig into a bit more.
Yeah.
And if it's true, I don't like it. I'd like it to all be on the drivers. I don't want the computer to learn how to deploy the battery the best way.
I agree. And while we were watching that and talking about that, the people who didn't box during the safety car were getting overtaken. But those were interesting overtakes as well. As you watch Charles and George kind of get through the field, Lewis was stalking Kimi. We had Behrman and Lindblad going nuts on each other for a lap and a half, back and forth for 7th place. Ollie won out. And then Gasly gets Lindblad, and Max gets him too. And because his battery was dead, he'd been fighting Ollie, and then everyone's like, "Whoa, you drained your whole battery? Sorry, buddy." And then right through. It was a wild. Colapinto and Ocon were battling for 5th. Ollie and Pierre were battling for 7th.
I was just going to say before then, a shout out to Colapinto because of staying out. He was running in 2nd place at one point.
Yes,
and his tyres were basically transparent at this point. There was just no tread left. He would be the one that I would say put on the defensive masterclass. Maybe he did use all his battery in defensive mode all the time because he kept those guys behind him way longer than I thought he was going to, because I thought they were just going to press the boost button and get past. And I think he did an amazing job clinging on to where he was.
I agree. In the early 20s, we had three sections of battles, 2 in particular. First, we had the first 4, and in reality, Kimi was ahead, but it was then the 2 Ferrari and George, and they were starting to go back and forth in the 20s here, really starting to go back and forth. We then had 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Colapinto, Ocon, Ollie, Gasman, and Max. And the 5 of them are all within, they could all see each other, and they're just trading paint back and forth, and I'm watching this. I'm like, there's no way this is going to happen. And over the next 5 to 10 laps, Max just kept working himself slowly by almost everyone. He made it up to 6th, I believe. And it took him time on each one. But the 5 of them were battling so hard, I couldn't get enough of this. And
I loved it.
Loved it. And so, and the producers would stick with like the 5 through 9 for a while, and you'd watch that and you're like, oh, it's getting good. And then they cut to 2, 3, 4. And I'm like, well, what happened with Max and Ollie?
And they had to, because around 24, Charles was suddenly right up Lewis's trumpet. Lewis had either messed up or his battery or whatever. And then they went side by side through 14, and then they were going back and forth. Lewis got him, Charles got him back again. But then George suddenly rocks up on this picture and said, well, if you two are battling, I'm going to have a little bit of this. And George just sighed through. He took Charles on one lap and then passed Lewis the next into P2, at which point Charles came on the radio and suggested if Plan C was on the table. Not sure what Plan C is, but I love the Ferrari.
It was always going to be a one-stopper. Like, again, with the tires, we'll get back to that towards the end. One-stopper. We knew it was going to be a one-stopper. We knew it.
We didn't.
I knew it.
The big, no, you didn't. The big thing build up to last week was, China's a high-deg circuit. I'm sure we'll see that the fact that they'll be forced into it. You said that last week.
No, I said they may be, but I was the one who said tires don't matter as much as they did in the past.
You did. I'll give you that.
And I went in. My glass was so half full of these overtakes that it was empty for tire strategy meaning anything again. So when they boxed to hards on 12, I'm like, they're going to 56. I'm like, no way they're not going to. No way they're boxing again, especially if they don't have a gap.
Well, that was the thing. So we had round lap, whatever it was, mid-30s. Nice little bit of synchronized, we should put it to music. Synchronized spinning. Colapinto and Ocon went for identical spins. As at first I thought it was Colapinto shutting the door, and I was all over Colapinto for being Crasher Pinto again, and then had to immediately take that back when I saw the onboard. It was Ocon going for a gap that wasn't there anymore. And just as I was trying to think, well, I wonder which way they're going to go. What's going to be the, is it going to be racing incident or is it going to be a penalty? Ocon just came on the radio and went, yeah, that's my bad.
I mean,
like, fair play. He just didn't even try to.
Yeah, the F1 TV announcers, immediately called out Ocon for going for a gap that did not exist. Like, there was nothing there. Like, you were, because of the pit stop and the way it came out, he just, like, well, I'm just going to take him right around the outside of 3 or whatever it was. There was no spot there. At the same time, one quick note, back to the Ferrari battles at this point, were so intense. I am, like, watching them. When they show the onboard of Charles and all you can see are Lewis's lights, I'm like, how close are they? Like, did they design the back of the Ferrari to actually allow the front wing of another Ferrari to go under without touching the gearbox? Because I think they were actually like one.
They were so close. My driving instructor always told me that if you can, you're too close to the car in front. If you can't see their tires touching the road surface, there is no way Charles couldn't even see the bottom of Lewis's wing.
No, I actually am pretty sure if Lewis looked in his mirrors, he wouldn't even see Charles because he was so close behind him. You would have missed him.
Yeah, true.
Wild. So that was crazy. And then David Coulthard said, he had a question. He said, should they be battling each other? Does this mean they've given up the desire to get first place? I'm paraphrasing. But by them extending this battle for 10 laps and racing each other, costing each other time because they're taking, hold on, let me finish this comment. By taking less than optimal racing lines and slowing down each lap to battle, they're giving up a chance to go after Kimi and get first. And I'm thinking that is a logical idea and no idea that ever crossed the driver's mind, because here is teammate, same car, whoever comes out first is best. They're going to battle each other to the end of time. And if someone had gotten on the blower and said, hey, could you just hold position so we can try to go get Kimi? They're going to say, we're never going to get Kimi.
Exactly.
So
there was no reality where they, even if they did like club together and just followed each other around, they weren't catching Kimi.
I agree.
A ridiculous thing from Coulthard.
Well, that's why I wanted to get back to Sky Sports, but I was afraid of hitting the button and like restarting everything again. So I got to be live for Japan.
But then it seemed like I think we got to a point where Lewis had fallen away, and Charles seemed to have done the same thing, the same way that the Mercedes could break free and then be done. Charles had broken free and Lewis was starting to drop him. And it was like, okay, Charles has got the podium under control. And then he decided to completely screw it. All of a sudden, the commentary snapped back and suddenly Lewis is going past Charles. And I'm like, how the hell did that happen? Yeah, Charles had a little bit of a moment. They went side by side through a couple of corners and Lewis held it. And it just kept going. But then it kept going up to about 42. And this is where I'm with you I've got not a fully empty tyre glass, is that at lap 42... despite the fact that we sold the dream that this was a high deg track and that two-stopper was the fastest, we speculated last week as to whether the lifting and coasting around corners to harvest energy would mean that these cars are naturally going to be kinder to their tyres because they're not on the limit of grip around corners, which is traditionally where all the tyre that gets wiped off, right? You go in lateral forces, as you go around a corner fast, you are basically shedding tyre. But at this point, I was like, this is the one stopper that we fear, and now everybody's going to pretty much have to be forced to slot into tyre management mode for the next 16, 14 laps or whatever it was, because no one can afford to go racing now, because if you push these too hard, you're going to be in pit stop number 2 and at the back. So this was an amazing... I really, really loved this race up until about lap 42, and then nothing happened, really. There's a couple bits we'll cover, but in the main... racing action had pause pressed on it after about lap 42.
Yeah, I will say the Charles Lewis battle that you referenced, when Charles let him back in by making a little mistake, and then they go back and forth again for a couple more laps. And I mean, wheel to wheel, like right next to each other, and they both respectfully back out when they don't have the corner and they know they're going to cause an accident, and it was great. Charles even came on the radio and said, I'm having fun. And he had lost the position. He lost the podium, and he goes, I'm having a good time. And it reminded me of the water one.
I have the seat full of water.
I'm sorry, this
is
so good.
Full of water.
Why did he
Must
remind
be
you of this?
the water.
You just wanted to play Must Be the Water.
Let's add that to the words of wisdom. So Charles goes, I'm actually having fun. And Brian Bozzi goes, I'm glad. That was his response in that tone. I'm glad. Okay. Well, very exciting to talk to you too.
Lap 43, Lindblad finally pitted. He'd been hanging those tyres out for the entire race. Lap 46, all the lights went off on Max's dashboard, and that was him done for the race.
Can we talk about Max real fast, just before we, say he's retiring? What was wild to me was we had a situation where Behrman was holding off Max. Behrman's in 5th. Max was in 6th. He was not making a dent on Ollie while his car was working. Gasly was in 7th. And he was kind of trying to catch up to Max, but also couldn't. But those were, this is going to be hard for me to say, and Max fans cover your ears, the best of the rest was Behrman, Max, Gasly. And we had settled in. Like, if Max didn't DNF, that's how I think it would have finished. Like, those 3 guys were right behind the Ferraris and the Mercedes, well, right behind, 17 seconds behind. But those were the ones who brought up the best of the rest. Holy cow. I mean, if you told me this a year ago, that the best of the rest is Ollie Behrman in a Haas, Max Verstappen in a Red Bull, 4-time world champion, one of the greatest drivers we've ever seen, and then Pierre Gasly in an Alpine, which could have been driven backwards with more downforce last year, I never would have believed you.
I know. So that was probably one of the biggest drama bits left. Max going out on 46, other than Kimi giving us and anyone watching and himself a massive heart attack on lap 53, where he was probably so thinking about his victory speech that he seemed to forget to brake for a hairpin.
So scary when they cut to his onboard. I'm like, no!
And then, I got to say, someone that really, really impressed me this weekend, the one person that decided they maybe did have enough tyre to just try and go on a bit of a charge towards the end was Colapinto. Colapinto, in fact, not Colapinta. He decided he was going to try and chase Carlos Sainz for position 9, and he absolutely chased him down, and he just ran out of laps because they'd been lapped by the leader. I think one more lap and Franco might have got him, but Kimi had already crossed the line. So we had Kimi converted first ever pole to first ever win. George makes it a 1-2, and I can't even speak because I was so excited. Lewis Hamilton back on the podium and the smile back on his face. What a feel-good set of interviews called out from a podium that whole was, with Kimi and Lewis and Bono together.
I haven't seen it yet.
I'm not crying, you're crying.
I haven't seen it. The minute Kimi crossed the line, and by the way, he slowed down real early, and then I think everyone's like, you got to get past the start-finish line. When he finished, I had to turn the TV off and run out to the dance thing. So I've saved it. I'm going to watch.
I saved it. Oh, it's amazing.
Well,
I'll
probably get stuck with the wrong commentary again. Oh.
Probably. You probably get it in Chinese now.
User error on my end.
Well, go back, watch the post-race interviews. Kimi is just basically crying all the way through his, and Lewis is just looks like he's auditioning for the Cheshire Cat in Alice in Wonderland because he's smiling so much for being back on the podium.
He said he had fun the same way.
Bono got in between. Had a picture of his old winner Lewis and his new winner.
I did like Toto at the after quali when he looks at the Kimi, George, Lewis, and he's like, it's like three Mercedes drivers. It's like Lewis never left.
You haven't heard Toto's radio at the end then either, have you?
No.
He does this speech on the radio about mocking what everyone said about putting Kimi Antonelli in seat. He's too young to go in this seat. It's too much of a gamble. What are you doing? You should put him in a smaller team and let him get his experience up. And he's saying this to Kimi, and then he went, You're a winner, Kimi. You're added to the list of Mercedes winners, and it's not a very long list. And it's like Toto had a lot of, he was very, very happy.
Well, speaking of other team radio, you know what we didn't get to hear a lot of?
Lando, this is Zach from McLaren. Is this the World Champion Hotline?
You don't need to use the radio, Zach. He didn't go out today. I didn't hear it. I can't wait to catch up. So let's, anything, as you look at the big stuff, you hit the quality. Do you want to kind of put a nail in that, or are you done with your quality not as good this year, race maybe
no,
good?
No, if we're doing dirty side thoughts now, I kind of came to a realization over looking at last weekend and this weekend that there are two completely different issues at play at the moment, and people are lumping them into being one. I think they're two very different things. One is the new regs themselves. And I think people just have to either decide they don't like them and then just don't watch F1 anymore, or just lean into it and just kind of getting try to find the enjoyment. Because I've got to say, if tracks like this that just seem to blend a little bit of the boost with also those kind of windy corners where we could get overtakes and back and forths and people going around the outside, I thought it was fantastic, absolutely fantastic. I still don't quite understand the battery situation, but I can appreciate what I'm watching, and I'll get there. I'll learn it, and it will make sense to me. I would also say that one last thing, and then the cars, we mocked it slightly last year when we heard that they were going to be shorter and narrower. I would say that they already look way more nimble. Like the way they're going and doing these switcheroos and the cutbacks and all this kind of stuff, it felt like you couldn't do it last year because it was like trying to turn an oil tanker around these things. But so I'm actually already starting to really enjoy these new regs, Brian. What about you?
Yeah, I am too. But again, I'm a sucker for F1. Like if you put, it'd have to be real bad for me to crap all over it. Do I like seeing cars slow down on straights? No, I don't. Do I like people having to take corners at less than optimal speed so they can charge it back? No, I don't. But do I like wheel-to-wheel action? Yes. Does that outweigh the other parts? Yes. Do I like the fact that people are able to follow and then repass because of the battery and then repass again and then repass again and give us 2 to 3 laps of nonstop wheel-to-wheel battles, sometimes amongst teammates, sometimes amongst other people? Yeah, sign me up for that all day, every day. Is quali a little more boring? Yes. Do I like the fact that Ferrari has a Mario Kart start and you don't know what's going to happen or where they're going to... Yeah, all these things are crazy. It's Bananarama. The Aston Martins they explode every 5 minutes. They got half a battery that they're gluing together, trying to figure out what to do. Cadillac looks like fun when they're in the back with Williams. We didn't even talk about this. He was 9th. Carlos Sainz got 2 points. Where did that come from? Didn't see that coming. They've been so bad.
Alpine got double points.
Double points. We'll get into that in a second. Yeah, so the storylines, the on-track action, for me, far outweigh the negatives that I do agree exist. I'm not trying to say it's all perfect. Well, I hear you people out there who are angry.
Well, I've got my second bucket yet we've got to come back to, but finish your thought.
So just for me, for those people who are so upset, I'd say just take a deep breath. Enjoy the on-track action. Try to take the "that's not how it used to be" out of your mind, and enjoy what we're getting, because I think it's okay. Am I fully on board? Do I fully love it? No, I'm still like kind of being wooed, but it's winning for me.
No, I fully agree. And the reason I have even more optimism in my second bucket of where people I think are getting not in love with it at the moment is the divergence of performance across the grid.
Yeah.
Just too big a gap. We got so spoilt last year that you could almost throw a 1 second rubber band across the entire 20 cars. And now this year we got like, I don't even know.
Oh, I got a sap stat for it. Just hang on.
Okay, so we got a lot of them being lapped, right?
Yeah.
But, and this is where my optimism comes in, is that I honestly thought that one team would nail this so much that it would be really boring racing. Perry, that came on the pod a few weeks ago and is a member on the Discord, kind of said, yeah, I mean, at least it's not Max or whoever into turn 1, goodbye, now let's fight for best of the rest. We're not seeing that. Yes, Mercedes are quicker, but it wasn't ridiculously quicker. It's not drive off into the sunset quicker. And because of that, I have this optimism that you've only got to look at Ferrari, McLaren, maybe Red Bull, maybe even Haas. Any of those bring any tangible upgrades that help close the delta a little bit. It's not as big a delta to close through upgrades as it was to Max's dominant season. So I think as the grid starts to converge a little, and maybe this year it won't even happen enough, right? Maybe it's next year they all start getting closer and closer. When they do all start getting closer, these regs seem to allow just insane wheel-to-wheel action that when the field isn't as spread, oh my gosh, can you imagine if all 22 cars were within a couple of seconds of each other? It's going to be carnage. So I'm all in. I'm here for the long ride. It's just got 2 things at the moment. A, I've got to get my brain around learning what it all means and forgetting the past. And B, pray for some upgrades.
Yeah, I agree with you on the field spread. I will say this, though. We still haven't really seen McLaren. And in quali for the main race, for the GP, Oscar was a 10th behind Charles, and Lando was half a 10th behind Oscar. So they're there. We don't know if they have race pace. Like the Ferrari has more race pace than quali pace. So I still enjoy watching the Mercedes Ferrari battles for the lead. I know it's not going to last the whole race, but for the 20 laps when they're close to each other and going back and forth, oh man, It gets no better than that. And then when we had 5 through 9 with Colapinto, Ocon, Behrman, Max, and Pierre, and they were swapping around like crazy, it gets no better than that. And then we had the Racing Bulls guys fighting for 11th, and Liam's got his elbows out, and Arvid's like, well, I can do that better than you, before I spin around to like a top a couple more times. That was great. Like the whole thing. Oh, anyway, yeah. Is it perfect? No. Can it get better? Yes. But I'm here for it.
I'm here for King of the Pits and Pits time. What about you?
I think I am too. Guessing I'll go out on a limb. We have the same
It's my
king.
turn first. Yeah, we might do.
Okay,
I have
you
to
go
give an
first.
honourable mention to Colapinto because I thought he drove
Okay.
absolutely
I
brilliantly.
didn't see that one coming.
I thought
but all right.
Gasman and Behrman get honourable mentions as well because getting a Haas into 5th and getting double points for Alpine, there's all these ones that I really, on
And
any
he
other
got-
day, would have done.
He would have done better if Ocon hadn't dive bombed him too.
Yeah, I know. And so they all deserve Hamilton deserves it for getting his first podium in a million years and his first one with Ferrari. But we can't look past a youngster nailing Poland to win, so it's got to go Kimi for me.
Agreed. Let's talk about the pits.
You're the pits.
I'm not even trying to like rush it. I just agree. I had nothing to add. I thought that was great. The pits is hard for me because, again, I don't think anyone. I don't want to do this, but I think I'm gonna have to give it to. Yeah, I do. Esteban. I got to give it to
Oh,
Esteban.
okay.
He was pushing hard. That move into Colapinto was uncalled for. 10-second penalty is serious. On the F1 TV, they even said, should it have been more given what you did to the other guy's race in his car? To which I was yelling at the TV, you don't take into account the result of the action. You take into account the action for the penalty. But that said, I am giving it to Ocon. And I would like to give a third version of an honorary King of the Pits to his mechanic who had to cut off his bodywork with garden shears.
Yeah.
He had the big shears, and the mechanic comes out, and he's cutting part of the car apart. And then they sent him back out. I've never seen that before. So that's just back to the King of the Pits. That's the mechanic for Esteban. But the pits, Ocon.
I'm going to have to do the same thing 2 races in a row. I hope this changes pretty soon.
Pirelli?
I got to give it to Pirelli again. Like how can we do on a high deg circuit a one stopper from about lap 20 or whatever it was, or even earlier than that?
12,
It's like,
14, something like that, yeah.
oh, it's going to kill any type of strategy if we can even. I mean, so, and the reason I might give it to them is that I know they can't change the compounds, but they brought one set harder. We were one step harder for China than we were for Australia. Maybe if they bought the Australian set and gone in the softest set of the range, we would have seen people forced, because then the hardest tire would have been the medium. And I don't think that you couldn't have done the medium. Right. So sort your life out, Pirelli. I know you didn't have all the new regs, and I know you had mule cars, and it's not your fault you didn't get this set of regs to test the tires out on. But please take all this into account, because we don't want to see a season of one stoppers.
So, like, I love the fact that you have someone at Red Bull like a Hannah Schmitz who is so talented at strategy. Like, she doesn't get it wrong. The strategy now is about battery, and it's about overtaking and when to deploy. Could you imagine if we had real tire jeopardy occurring and we had to debate between 1 and 2 stoppers as well, in addition to all of the battery work? Like, I think her head might explode, and she's probably the best strategist on the grid.
Yeah, agree. So, do we want to do the third in the trilogy of Pitlane Paul?
I think we shall.
Can you say, how now brown cow?
How no run the cow?
No, how now brown cow?
Brown.
How?
How?
Hey, no.
Hey now.
Yes! Right, he's finally got it. Right, fucking race. Sunday race. And Joseph from Sheffield has finally got it. How was your night last night? And they had the Jim Beam thing. Was it successful, or was it a bit of a...
It was a bit of a appearance for 1.5 hours ride, you know? So 3 hours total ride for 30 minutes. But yeah, got it done.
Yeah, got it done.
More to come for the next few days.
That's what's been like last year when we reserve. It sucks, man. You have to do all of this. It's just boring. Anyway, that's enough of that. Quick race review, Voix. I mean, I might be... I haven't discussed the race review, actually. I thought for 3/4 of it, it was actually quite good. There was lots of overtaking, lots of racing. You had a pack at the front, then you had a pack in the middle, then you had our little pack at the back. But our little pack was fine. But how did you see the Chinese Grand Prix?
I mean, it was fun-ish, I would say, because there was a battle at the front. I mean, it's not really at the front; it was just between two Ferraris, and then you have that midfield battle, and which is a little bit more entertainment. But then, yeah, at the back was also a bit battle going on, but it was more like a train. People just couldn't really get past much. But then, overall, I think it's not as bad as people think or I thought it would be, but
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Like I said, I enjoyed 3/4. The last quarter was actually pretty average, wasn't it?
Yeah,
There
it was-
not a lot
yeah,
happened.
especially when you see like P6 on the field was lapping cars. That was a bit, it just shows the regulation is a bit overplayed for people, and 5 cars couldn't start. That was like,
Well, that was odd. McLaren. What have we said? McLaren, they're the champions. Like that's how is that happening?
probably focused too much on last year, which is fair,
Well, yeah, to be honest, can't argue with that.
Yeah.
And then Mercedes are just too good, aren't they? Well, it could be a really boring year, I think. So I think like what you're going to have, at least for the first part, and I think we'll have it in Japan as well, is like Ferrari being all over Mercedes for like quarter of a race, Mercedes pulling away, Ferrari battling Ferrari, and then I don't know. I liked it. I don't know. I'm still on the fence with these regs. I don't mind them. I think good things could be to come. You don't seem at all convinced.
Yeah, it would be cool to see a next race, to be honest. One is like a little harder tracks to overtake, like Suzuka, because I think Shanghai, there's so many places you can play with it. And then Suzuka, you will see maybe if it's a boring race, then it's game over. Otherwise, it would be fun. If there's, things going on in Suzuka, then I'm looking forward to the rest of the season.
And Suzuka's good. We got Coco Curry. You're going to come out for some curry nights with us?
Only if you give me a ride.
Oh, no, giving you a ride.
Yeah.
No, because the challenge is like Coco Curries, it goes from 1, which is mild, to 10, which is really hot.
Yeah.
So we normally go 7. So
I go 5, 6.
No, you got to go 7.
Nah,
Okay, do 6 on...
there's not good enough.
6 on day
bathrooms
1.
in Suzuka's track.
No, they're all right. Because they got the old
Nah.
wash thing, haven't they?
Yeah, but it's like 6 people using that bathroom, no?
Yeah, but they don't. You don't share the wash fluid, do you? You know what I mean? Like it's not that grim. I mean, I do like though. Nobody wash your hands in the wash. Your hand water goes down to the toilet and then.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to move on to Japan. Joseph from Sheffield is going to stay in Shanghai, do some touristing. I'm going to go back tonight to the UK. I'm on China Eastern. I'm split. I'm not sure. You love China Eastern. You've recommended it.
Beautiful airlines.
Yeah,
beautiful.
you're
Good service, good seats, good relaxation.
Do you know, I'm in first class.
Oh, that's even better.
Is it?
But depends which one you are, because there's 2 kind of flights. The smaller ones, that first class is literally together with the business. There's another one that has like their own cabin, which is amazing. But it only has 4 seats in the whole first class. So you can have a look when you're checking how many seats is around you. But
Obviously, honestly, by the time I fly tonight, I'll have drunk a fair few beers and I'll be out of there. Right, thank you,
right,
Joseph
see
from
you, bye.
Sheffield, for helping out with this podcast. We go on to Japan and we'll see what happens there. See you later, guys.
I don't even know what to say. This is so great. This is so great.
Random insights into Chinese airlines that you never knew you needed.
In all seriousness, when Joe tells us, his perspective on the heat of a curry. No, I'm just kidding. When he tells us his perspective on how hard it is to overtake at Suzuka versus China, and that may be a more telling track as teams kind of get into the regs, and we'll see what the overtaking looks like at Japan versus what it was in China. Now I'm watching for it through the lens of one of the most talented drivers in the world, who was just on this here podcast.
Right, we're almost there. Do you want to give us what you found for your
I want
sack
to talk about
stats?
Joe being on the podcast some more. Thanks for coming on, man. Seriously, tell Paul where to send a T-shirt. And I'll send T-shirts. By the way,
Tell Paul you want to come on and replicate what Valtteri did. We'll have you on, Joe.
we're going to
It's
have
fine.
a lot of time between Japan and Miami.
Yeah, we'll kick Brian off and you can do the hay now. Anyway, sack stats time.
Okay, the youngest pole sitter ever for a GP. We talked about that in depth already. The second youngest to win a race, Kimi Antonelli, after Max It was the first time in 20 years an Italian winner had been at the top step since Giancarlo Fisichella at Malaysia 2006. Lewis's first F1 podium with Ferrari in red scarlet, or whatever the perfect color name is. Ollie was 5th in the race. Ollie's now 5th in the championship, ahead of Lando, Oscar, Max, and Isaac. Crazy days here. Oscar has done no racing laps in a GP in 2026. He's 12th in the championship. What? Red Bull have only had one car finish each Grand Prix race so far, a 6th and an 8th. 15 cars finished this race with nearly half a lap down. Once again, that's 2 GPs in a row where we see about half the grid that finishes, maybe a little under, being a lap down. Those were the SAP stats.
Okay, I have a very, very brief Cadillac corner, so fire up the Caddy music.
I shall do it.
It's Cadillac Corner! It's Cadillac Corner! It's Cadillac Corner!
My little entry, my little note as we track their progress through the season is both cars finished the Grand Prix. Okay, they got lapped, but we had Perez down in 15th. And I assume you think that meant that Bottas was in 14th because they're just bringing up the rear, those two. But no, Bottas beat Haas. Ocon was down there in 14th, so 13th for Bottas. Now, I know it's not the points. I know they both got lapped, but both cars finished, and they've actually managed to finish ahead of one of the other teams as well. So little small victories, and they managed to get Zhou on the dirty side of the track.
Yeah. Amazing.
Right.
Casino game update. I got to just quickly give myself some shade. On the Discord.
If you don't, I will.
I was so excited about the Kimi Antonelli pick. Even after quali, I'm thinking George is going to win. Kimi's going to be second, 18 points. I pulled a masterclass, and we were joking about it on the Discord, and someone called it SAP strats, like strategy. SAP strategy, SAP strat. And I said, that's great. This is going to work so well, and then in all bold, unless it doesn't.
So here we go. We did our podium predictions midweek. We both went for Russell followed by Antonelli, which means we'll only get 1 point right for each of those picks because we got them correctly on the podium, but not in the right order, which means really it comes down to who we picked in our third step of the podium. Brian went Charles Leclerc.
I did.
So he finishes with 2 points. I put Lewis Hamilton on the third step, which means I get 3 points for being on the right step. So I get 5 this week, you get 2. We both got 6 last week, so I take a small lead. It's only the second Grand Prix of the season, though. Then we had the roulette table. The roulette wheel spun up number 8 for us. I went for Ollie, who outperformed that by a mile and finished 5th. 8th was actually Hajar. You went for Oscar. He didn't even start. So we both had a really poor week on the roulette wheel. However, we've both had an exceptionally poor week on blackjack.
Who did I pick again?
For people that don't know, we pick 2 drivers and we sum up the points they score in the race to see who can get the closest to 21 without going bust. So Brian, as he just said, he picked
Kimi and Valtteri. So I had 25.
Yeah, correct.
Too much.
So you have 25. So you've gone bust. You are out. So all I need to do is score a solitary point, which between my 2 picks of Verstappen and Piastri gave me no points.
No way.
First time it has ever happened that we have a tie on blackjack because neither of us could actually get any points on the board. Well, you could. You got too many.
Yeah, we should both lose a point for that ridiculousness. Although, yeah, all right.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think
I hit some of the driver standings. Anything you want to highlight in the drivers or constructors?
No, I don't think so. Do you want to do? Have you got a fantasy update for us, or are we going to defer that to next week?
I have it. It's done calculating because it was in the middle of the night. So, for the Chinese Grand Prix, first we had a tie for first. Subscribe to Wanted, Lee from the Discord. Great job, Lee. Nice job with the Limitless. Ortho F1 Victor tied with Lee, 505 points, which might be the most I've seen in a long time, regardless of chip played. That is tremendous. Third, MCL Papaya RT Mike, also tied for third. FanAmp Fantasy HQ Adam. I mean, the experts are here as well, and we're all doing pretty good. In fifth, Yank the Mike.
You're putting yourself in the expert category.
Well, just wait till you and I are about to tie for whatever, sixth here. Yank the Mike, Michael, fifth, and then a giant glut of us who played the exact same Limitless team in sixth. Tails I Win Andy. Another one bites the rust. That's Rob. Fantasy Tools, F1FantasyTools.com. That's F1FantasyTools.com. Easy Top 3, 16th from Shrivasu. Sorry, I messed that up. GBH Racing Team, Peter. Master of Signs, Fakri. Sangaucho La 33 F1 Team, Asir. Rookie Cheap from Agent Cheap. Luke FF1, Luke. Dirty Side Sap, that's me, your boy. Formula Fantasy Hub, Rob. DRS1, Peter. And then Sunday Morning Stroll, Michael. That's a lot of people play the same.
Exactly same. And the thing that really, really annoyed me, although it didn't matter. When I was doing the Limitless, it was obvious to take Mercedes and Ferrari and then both of their drivers.
Right.
That was a done deal, right?
And it became
who's
your
going to
fifth?
put? Who's going to be? Who's your fifth? And I was like, I ended up going for Lando, just because I
did
thought
too.
I saw the sprint stuff, quali, and thought they had some pace. My other one that I would have, the coin I was flipping was between him and Verstappen. So it probably, I would have got more points because Verstappen did well. At least got more points in the
Minor difference.
sprint. I think when I looked on the leaderboard, the team that was it Lee's team? Has he got Verstappen? Was it the same as our
I've
team?
already
But
changed
had
the page.
okay. I think it was the limitless chip, but with Max in on the fifth spot rather than now. If you'd have gone someone if you had the balls to play a Bearman.
On a Limitless? That's big balls is what you're talking about.
I know, I would never have done it. But
that means our top 3 is Ortho F1 Victor, FanAmp Fantasy HQ Adam, and MCL Papaya RT Mike. So good job, you 3, at leading the league 2 races into the season.
okay, well, I think with no preview to go, I think that, as they say, that was the Chinese Sprint Weekend. It was, I would say, a good second race in these new regs. Me and you are both kind of leaning into it, but not fully there yet. I think Paul sounded like he was as well. So we'll see what we come up with next week. And then, at minimum, we'll have a Japanese preview next week.
Definitely. Maybe we'll even have a third co-host, Zhou Guanyu. We'll see if he wants to make his way back. Paul, thank you for the report from the ground and for bringing Joe on with you. That was awesome. As always, everybody, have a wonderful week. We'll see you in 1 week's time.
Joe from Sheffield.